Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your Conservative Member of Parliament for the Went Out Like a Lion riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. We're live here in Ottawa, and there's a lot to cover, so let's get to it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section, and I'll try to answer any that I can. Now, the news. Today is April Fool's Day, but no one is laughing at Trudeau's new carbon tax. Starting today, everything you buy will be more expensive. The carbon tax will affect everything in our daily lives, so it's difficult for you to judge exactly the true cost of this carbon tax. But we know it's going to cost a lot. This isn't surprising, though, as Justin Trudeau has said that record high gas prices are exactly what we want. But it is not what you want. The Liberal carbon tax will be crippling to many Canadians' budgets. But it's not just higher gas prices. All the necessities of life are going to become more expensive. And that means you get less from every dollar you earn. What's worse, the Liberal carbon tax will unfairly target hard-working Canadians while giving big breaks to industrial polluters. Once again, the Liberals are happy to help their corporate friends while hardworking Canadian families pay the price. The Liberals aren't helping you get ahead. They're not even helping you get by. A new Conservative government will scrap the Liberals' carbon tax. Speaking of a new Conservative government, the latest news leaked from Trudeau's office is just more proof his party has to go. As part of the Liberals' campaign to discredit the former Attorney General, an anonymous source disclosed highly confidential details about the appointment of a Supreme Court judge. Leaking details about a judicial appointment to attack a political opponent is exactly the type of unethical behavior that got Liberals into this trouble in the first place. Conservatives have called for an investigation into the leak. The Liberals accused Vice Admiral Mark Norman when the details were leaked about the Liberals trying to deep six the purchase of a desperately needed temporary supply ship. But when the leak obviously comes from within Trudeau's office, do you think they'll let the RCMP in? The only chance Canadians have to learn what the truth is with an independent judicial inquiry. Go to cherylgallant.com/Trudeau scandal and sign the official e-petition calling for a public inquiry. Why would the Liberals risk the blowback from leaking highly confidential information if they were not desperate to discredit the former Attorney General? On Friday, we learned the reason for their desperation when the Justice Committee released her written submission and a recording of a phone call between herself and the clerk of the Privy Council. These documents and recordings are further evidence proving the Prime Minister led a campaign to politically interfere in the criminal prosecution of a Liberal-friendly, well-connected company. He personally gave the orders, and when the Attorney General refused to follow them and break the law, she was fired. The former Attorney General repeatedly told the Prime Minister and his top officials that their actions were entirely inappropriate and amounted to political interference. Despite her objections, the clerk of the Privy Council pressured her and made it clear that her job was on the line. The Prime Minister also told Canadians what he knew was false. He knew that his Attorney General had serious concerns about his plan to stop the construction company from being prosecuted. He looked Canadians in the eye and told us that no one had raised concerns with him. This is false, and he owes Canadians an explanation. The entire SNC-Lavalin scandal is corruption on top of corruption on top of corruption. 2 cabinet ministers have resigned on principle, and both the Prime Minister's top political advisor and his top civil servant have resigned in disgrace. The Liberals have lost the moral authority to govern. On Election Day, you have the opportunity to cast your verdict. While most of the attention has been focused on LavScam, the Trudeau Liberals have been quietly pushing through a piece of legislation that will water down your property rights and reduce its value. Bill C-68 reverses the changes our Conservative government brought in when we amended the Federal Fisheries Act. It once again allowed for drainage on flooded farms to building bridges over ditches in municipalities without having to get authorization from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. Over the years, the Fisheries Act, which dates back to 1868, has gone from being about fish to anything that has to do with water, from dams to driveways and even ducks. It clashes with well-known conservation organizations like Ducks Unlimited Canada, who restore, enhance, and manage wetland habitat for all species. Ducks Unlimited has been harassed by bureaucrats who claim their conservation activities were harmful to fish habitat. Before our Conservative government brought common sense to the Fisheries Act, private landowners, particularly farmers and rural towns, face huge delays and large fines from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, DFO. The controversy was what was a fish habitat and what was not a fish habitat. A farmer with a block culvert in a drainage ditch he dug on his private property could be charged and fined for failure to clear the blockage in the time allotted, or refused a permit to install one because someone found a minnow in the ditch. Now, in a complete disregard for common sense, the current Liberal government has not only reversed our changes, the Liberals have restricted the rules even tighter than they were before by explicitly adding the concept of water flow, which was not in the old legislation. The scope of offenses the property owner could be charged with have been greatly expanded. Worst of all, the bill does not list what is and is not an offense under the legislation, including fines or jail. Trudeau has ceded power to the bureaucrats. Carte blanche is being given to allow radical measures by unelected officials to decide what is lawful and what is not. These same unelected officials have been left to dream up the punishments. Residents who remember the good fight over Bill C-68, the other Bill C-68, the Liberal Long Gun Registry, and its assault on the rights of Canadians, have good reason not to trust this government. The new Bill C-68 is another reason why the Liberals must be defeated. Whether it's carbon taxes, corruption, or stripping you of your property rights, the Trudeau Liberals need to be held accountable. That's all the time we have today. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant, wishing you a good night.